Greetings! It's me and my super squeaky chair. So let me know if you can hear and see fine. Alright, all set, squeaky chair. The paints I am using today are by Daniel Smith. I haven't done the review of these yet. One side of the, I don't know if we can see, but one side of the palette is the essential set, and the other side is the primary triad and the secondary triad sets. I'm using I'm gonna try the B cotton paper. Is that the name? Anyway, the 6x9 sheets. And yep, that's brushes perhaps. I think I'm gonna go with the Ultimo by Escoda because I had a great time using those on the collective painting. So, hello Val, hello Ina, Ian, Grace, Pat. Welcome! So I'm gonna try to do what I forgot last time and start with the lighter background. I'm just gonna start and with what I assume is gonna be the background. So how is everyone today? I hope you had a great weekend so far. Oops. Oh, I thought that was the brush shedding, but it's only my cat shedding actually. Cat hair, part of every painting. If you own cat, of course. Funny how Twinkles has Roger doing all the work. Yep. Well, everything except the actual magical stuff, because that's... I don't think Roger is a full-on witch mouse yet. Or would that be a warlock mouse? Thank you, Pat. I'm having a lot of fun doing these cutesy illustrations featuring these two. Hello, Lisa. And Claudieu? Sorry, I hope I said that right. I always have to juggle between French and English when I try to say words that I don't know, including names. So it's a bit of a mess in there. I'm never quite sure. Alright, so I'm gonna ramble a bit about these brushes because I really like them. These are the... hold on. Stay there. I think I have the box. These are the Escoda Ultimo travel set. They are synthetic squirrel, and I'm in the process of working on the review of those, but I wanted to use them a bit before reviewing them, and I really like them. I think they're really awesome. So a sneak peek, exclusive news, these brushes are awesome. The only thing that's a bit sad about them is that they don't sell them open stock. The only synthetic squirrel that I've seen where I bought these, so at Jackson's, is the huge mops or some riggers, but they don't have the regular rounds, and they don't sell the travel brushes in solo. They only sell them in set. So I had to wait a bit, save up, and then I really wanted to try them. So when I had enough saved up, I decided to splurge on these, and they are really great. I think it's fun to have a lot of okay, is it buffering? Hold on. What's going on? Do you guys have buffer? Anyway, I don't know why it's giving me grief. Sorry, I'm just setting stuff up. Alright. Well, YouTube is being a butt, so I'll try to keep going, and if it becomes too unbearable, I don't know if you can hear me, but I was saying that YouTube decided to be a butt, so I'm gonna try to keep going, and if there are still issues, well, I'm gonna see then what I do. So as I was saying, these fake squirrel brushes are pretty great, and I love having brushes in travel format because I get used to them, and then I can easily just pack them up and bring the brushes I know with me if I have to go paint outside or if I want to go on an adventure or something. So yeah, fun brushes. Can't wait for that review. Oh, thank you. There is gonna be a bit of a, like, everything in there is new to me. The paper, the paint, well, not Daniel Smith in itself because I've used Daniel Smith before, but these sets and the brushes, so yeah. You get an exclusive preview of things to come. I wish I could compare to the Mimics because that's what a lot of people use, but they are not available easily for me, and I guess I could order them, but the shipping and the currency fees are kind of gross. So yeah, it's more easy to buy at Jackson's for me. It's really weird because the software that manages the streaming says that the stream is okay, it has, but then YouTube decides that it's bad, and that's where all the buffering issues come from. So where am I supposed to fix this? Like, I don't know. YouTube, do your YouTube thing. Why is it so complicated? Keeps telling me that I have a bad status. And it's kind of annoying because it resets the chats every time, and I have to go around here and scroll back down, and I'm like, okay, whatever. Right. It's snowing again. Maybe it's the snow that's the problem. Alright, so technically I have Carbazole Violet in there, which is probably my favorite purple color. Question. I want to start painting. What do you think about White Nights? Is it okay for a beginner? It's really good. It's a really nice choice for a beginner. And they have like great sets at super good prices, and they are technically, but if you get the professional range, it's still really affordable, and I mean, these are professional paints, so yes, it's a very good choice. I think it's one of the best choices available for affordable professional paints. Oh yeah, so this is telling us that there was a power out for her on Friday, and it was the wind that caused it. Oh, thanks, that's really informative. Kiyomi is saying that buffering occurs usually when there is a lag in your upstream, not downstream, that is normally not noticeable, but YouTube detects that change and then it will buffer. I think there was a comment earlier about me making a children's book. I am really not against the idea, but I've never done such a thing before, so I don't really know how to go about it. I mean, I could possibly use all the Rogers and Twinkle images at some point and maybe rework some of them or repaint some of them so they all fit together better, and then make it kind of a small book. But all that would have to be independent press. And I really should remove my... I forgot to remove my my sketch. I don't need this. This is pretty pointless. I keep on forgetting this. I did the same thing with the Jaguarundi painting. I forgot that I had the sketch taped. Bye bye sketch. Aw, thanks, Pat. Saying that the illustrations are perfect for it. Aw. I really enjoy drawing Rogers because I can give him the silliest expressions. He's so tiny that I cannot go into too much detail, so it always ends up being my favorite part of the sketches because it's always so silly. The internet can't live without it, but it causes a lot of stress. Yes, Grace is right. I'm gonna see what kind of gray I can mix with these two primary triads. I have no clue. I didn't do the chart yet for these, so I'm gonna experiment. Carbazole Violet is always so strong. It's kind of amazing. I think that's why I like it. It's because it's so violently purple, and you only add a little and it's already too much. I think that would work. Oh, stupid YouTube. It keeps on telling me that the stream is bad, and then it scrolls up my window where the chat is, so I lose sight of the chat. And I am not within easy reach of my computer mouse, so yeah, thanks YouTube. Nice. Really easy to maneuver. Great job. I wish I could ignore YouTube more easily, but it makes the chat go away, so I can't follow it up. Alright, so catching up on the chat. Thanks for all the enthusiasm for the book of Rogers and Twinkles. I'll really keep it in mind. Val is saying, guess who is now a guest member for the next Animal Artist Collective video? I don't have to guess, you know, but congratulations! That's so cool! It's a really fun collective, so I'm really excited to see what the coming months will bring in terms of topic, art, and new members. Alright, so now I gotta figure out how to mix a dark color for Twinkles. Because technically it's a black cat, so yeah. I'm kind of bummed that this set came with French ultramarine because I really don't like it. It is so hard, it dries like a lump of rock, and it doesn't like to be wet. It's a pain in the butt. I think that's really good. I don't even know what the theme is going to be for next month, so yeah, I think that's all hush hush for now. There was a really nice response to the collective, which was pretty awesome, and I'm really thankful that people were really into it and seemed to be as excited about it as we all were, so it was pretty great. It's great to raise some awareness about these things. And I don't have any expectations of actually selling any of the originals, because that's kind of a more difficult thing to make available. But there will be prints available at some point, so maybe that can be a nice way to help a tiny bit more with the conservation efforts. Grace is saying that ultramarine is a butt in general, but Daniel Smith's is fairly more butt-ish than usual. Yep, I agree, especially the French one. It's like, first of all, why is it French? I should really look into this, because that's kind of an odd thing. But then again, yeah, I think only Senneliers is really like nice for an ultramarine color, because since it's made with honey, it doesn't dry as hard. I think it's the ultramarine deep It's kind of a better deal than most other ultramarine colors. Or perhaps it's better to use these straight from the tube rather than dry in a pan. So perhaps painters who use paints straight and fresh from the tube, they don't really have this issue. But for the rest of us, yeah, I don't know why, but burnt sienna and ultramarine are like the worst colors to re-wet in my huge Daniel Smith palette. So I'm always angry at them. I agree that the Prussian Indanthrone and Indanthrone and Anthraquinone blue are the same, I think. It's PB60, but it's I really prefer it for a dark warm blue. I don't know why, because I think most people refer to it as a cool blue, but the one I have is from Daniel Smith, and I feel like it has a bit of a reddish tint to it, so it's really more of a warm color. But it makes a really fine gray when you mix it with, I think it's burnt umber or something like that. Hi Anna, welcome. One more question if you don't mind. Sure, go ahead. I want to start just with the 3 primary colors so I can learn how to mix them. Which one do you think it's okay to buy? There are so many colors, I don't know what. I would perhaps refer you to check, if you check in my playlists on the channel, I have a watercolor series for a beginner. And even if I use Sennelier in this series, I think if you can find similar colors in White Nights, that would be a nice triad to start. So basically you find a neutral yellow, a magenta, and a phthalo blue green shade. I think this is what people usually call the printer primary, because it's like the colors on your printer, but you use a cyan, a neutral yellow, and a magenta color, and you can mix a really nice range of colors, because the magenta and the yellow will mix into a red, and the blue and the yellow will mix into a green, and the blue and the magenta will mix into a super nice purple. So yeah, I think the color numbers, I don't remember what it is for the yellow one. I think it's something like PY 151 or neutral yellow, and PV 19 for the magenta, and PB 15 column 3 for the phthalo blue green shade. I don't know if that helps. Yeah, M-grams is a good choice too if you want something that will re-wet easily. Huh. That's unique. I am not sure it will show on the camera because I don't think it's high quality enough. But if you remember at the beginning of the painting, I wet in an area of the background to lay in some base color, and it left kind of a watermark. Like when I painted over I painted all over, and then I removed the extra, and the water went all the way up to here because it left a white line. Same with the tail. B paper, what are you doing? The number one rule of painting: yell at your paints. Yep. There is a Korean modern painter who yells at his paints to charge them with emotion. Like he will start a line, and as he makes his line, he brings his face really close to the canvas and the brush, and he will yell at the color. And yeah, I saw a video of a live painting demonstration thingy, and it was pretty unique, to say the least. Oh, sure. If you have any more question regarding the primary and the knowing what to buy or anything like that, you can leave comments or send me a message, and we can exchange that way if you have more questions once the live is over. Really, no problem. I will be bummed if this paper is kind of stupidly made and leaves watermarks like that everywhere, because it's kind of a really affordable price for cotton paper. But I mean, if it's crummy cotton paper, that doesn't help anyone. If you have Sennelier paints, and that's a good try as well, because they are, especially the tubes, I'm talking tube paints from Sennelier, they are probably quite close to the feel that M. Graham would have, since they are also made with honey. I mean, it's really attractive to get paints we cannot have and that are from other countries and hard to find, but usually there's always something that we can easily find that is just as good. What do you prefer? You mix colors on a metal, plastic, or porcelain palette. I am not picky, and I really don't mind a stained palette. That is not an issue with me. So it really depends on, like, say this palette comes with mixing space, so I will use this. Some palettes I have don't have any mixing space, so I will use either these. I have this stack of ceramic saucers, plates, mixing thingies. I don't have a lot of preference for the mixing stuff, as long as I can wash it. I got a few months ago a porcelain water bucket, and that I really appreciate because it's much easier to wash. But for the mixing space, I really don't mind. I would prefer something that doesn't bead, but then again, it's not a deal breaker for me. I know some people, they really need a specific surface to mix on, but not me. I don't really mind. I think it's more a matter of the space available. Like, sure, the huge footprint palettes, they look nice and they look fun, but they're huge, and my desk is not really compatible with that. Hello Lee, welcome to the chat. What herbs is Rogers picking today? I think it's some kind of wheat. I never know how to say that, but the thing like bread is made of. All the gluten stuff. Or perhaps it could be oatmeal. But it's that kind of thingy that's on the stem and you pick up the seeds at the top. Are there any X-Files fans in the chat? If it's leaving a watermark, that means the paper is not well sized. Well, that could be the case. I mean, it's pretty cheap paper, so perhaps they save money by skimping on the sizing. Or perhaps I got a defective bunch. I have other bee paper products and they're pretty fine. I mean, not that it would stop me from using this paper, but perhaps next time I would plan around this watermarking effect more. Like I would try to avoid wedding areas that are in the middle of other things, so when it dries it doesn't leave the mark. It's quite okay, Anna. English is not my first language either, and you seem to all put up well with me, so no problem. Okay, so X-Files fans, do you remember the episode where Scully gets a tattoo and like the red ink is laced with some kind of psychotropic whatever mushroom? It's I know what it's called in French, but I don't remember what they call it in English. So yeah, and she starts like hallucinating stuff, and there is a whole thingy going on in the episode about people getting tattoos with the red ink that makes them hallucinate stuff and get aggressive, I think. And I don't know, it always made me laugh that it was like this parasitic mushroom or thingy that grows on like wheat. Anyway, like one of the stuff that grows into fields. I'm not making any sense, I'm sorry. But yeah, it's an whole episode of the X-Files built around a kind of a parasitic mushroom that grows on crops. And it really left a mark in my psyche. She got a really neat tattoo as far as I remember. I think it was like an Ouroboros, the serpent that eats its own tail. I was like, whoa, Scully, kick-ass tattoo. But then she started going like crazy because of it, so yeah. X-Files, not as good in terms of a cheesy show as Supernatural is, but I don't think there's any cheesy show out there that can beat Supernatural in terms of cheese. It's just the best. They really, really, really assume what they're doing. There is no pretense here. Supernatural is what it is, and either you decide to buy into it or you don't. But yep, that's it. Anyone else watches Supernatural in the chat? Wheat. Thank you. I mean, it's everything is labeled in French and in English here in Quebec, but I don't think I ever knew how to say wheat. It's not fly agaric. It's not a real mushroom. It's called ergot. I don't know what it is in English, but it's like a parasitic mushroom that grows onto the seeds of a crop, and it's like a protrusion that looks like a grayish, brownish, tiny tube. But yeah, that's what the... I don't remember. It could have been like really far into the X-Files season. I don't remember because we had them kind of weird schedule of when they translated the show to French. But yeah, Supernatural is like my favorite show ever because it's not good, but it doesn't try to be like deep and good and all that. It's just it accepts what it is, and if you are ready to suspend your disbelief completely, it's just a fun show. And I don't know why, every season sometimes I go like, I'm not sure I'm gonna watch the next season because this one is kind of, they don't really know, and then they come up with some kind of finale that you're like, well, I'm gonna have to watch the first episode of the next season at least, because they cannot leave me hanging like this. This is too too much for me to just go, meh, I don't really care about what happens next. So it's been like that for like 12, 13 seasons. It's one of those guilty pleasure things, I think. Cornizuelo. Whoa. So it's called ergot in English too, huh? Hello, Malvina. She says, I don't have TV, but I was given Netflix coupon for my birthday. Maybe I will come out of the cave and watch something. Yeah. It's kind of the good and the bad with Netflix. Do they have something about birds on Netflix? I'm trying to think if there's something about birds on Netflix. There is a Planet Earth 2, so perhaps there is a bit of bird stuff going into there. Oh, Grace, you went to a supernatural convention. Oh, I'm envious. I mean, it's probably a good/terrible experience, but it's I think it's something one has to experience at least once, especially if you like the show. And the actors, I mean, they're just great. They really buy into this whole, like, this show is not serious, this is fun, and they seem to be having a lot of fun. And I don't know, they play into the stereotypes of the plaid shirts and the gruff voices very well. I like it. It's silly. There's something about everything on Netflix. That's true. It's really true. I don't know how different it is from one country to another, but yeah. Just wondering if I can try to cover up this watermark a bit. It didn't work the first layer of paint, but perhaps it will. I don't think I can. Oh well, I tried. So perhaps I should soak these sheets and then let them dry and then use them. Perhaps that would take care of the weird sizing issue. I really don't like using the brown craft gummed paper because that's just, I don't know, I tried it, didn't like it. Oh, you saw Misha. Yeah, Jared, Jensen, and Misha, they're like they're like what Supernatural is all about. I love everyone in the show. Well, everyone. The poor female characters have a hard time, but yeah. Are you watching Vikings? I used to. I watched it until there is that weird moment with Ragnar and the Asian lady / slave. I don't really remember. That's kind of a weird thing going on, and it's sort of it stopped being about, you know, the Vikings adventuring and going and doing their thing. But I really enjoyed the first few seasons, and I loved what they did with the exploration, and I know that everyone will say that it's not historically accurate and the outfits and the hairdos are like whatever, but I think it's kind of fun. It gives it a visual and something like stylistically interesting to look at. You gotta say though, Lagertha is that? Ooh, I'm having a blank. But anyway, the main lady Viking, she's really badass. Aww. Anna says that, to be honest, she preferred to have me or Denise than a TV show, meanwhile. Well, while she's drawing. That's really nice. I haven't seen The Good Place either. I haven't watched much of anything lately. I've been listening to some D&D podcasts though. And I've been working, so yeah. I try to watch all the videos of my fellow artists on YouTube, and then when I have a bit of spare time, I usually try to watch, I don't know, stuff. What female character is supernatural? That's a really good question. Oh, it's so sad. They keep on... either they are really lame, or if they are cool, they don't really last for long, sadly enough. That's the only big flaw of Supernatural. I don't know if that's a spoiler. But yeah, there is, I mean, Viking is pretty cool. I really enjoyed the early seasons. And that's not a spoiler, Claudio, you're fine. Hello, Kathy. I'm trying to choose what I'm gonna paint next. It's kind of funny because I'm doing these and it's a bit like they're all test paintings for an eventual book, because there's always something wrong with each one of them. Like this one, the paper kind of give me trouble, and the other ones there was something else, and the one before that there was something else, and maybe at the end I'm gonna know exactly which paper and which paint to use, but at the moment it's kind of silly how it doesn't really want to cooperate with me. Has anyone watched the Rotten show I mentioned in a previous live? It's kind of like the documentary episodes about weird practices in the trade, the food trade and industry, I think. Yeah. Ian says that he lives in an area where the Vikings went adventuring, and that they are very naughty boys and girls. Okay, question for the chat. Do you guys still go to the theaters? To the cinema? Like, what's your opinion on the movie experience in theaters nowadays? Okay, a quick note about the Rotten show. It's a show that's on Netflix that's called Rotten, and it's like, I don't know if it's 6 or 8 episodes, but each episode they talk about one theme and how it's problematic for certain aspects of the industry. Like the first episode is about honey and how they have problem with the bees and how there is this dumping of cheap adulterated honey on the market that mostly comes from China, but they use proxy countries to ship their honey to the US. And then there was, anyway, about this whole story about honey. So you have a part about the beekeepers in the US and a part about the economy and the import of honey and all this stuff. So it's kind of that's the first episode. There is one that's about food allergies, and one's about milk or cows, perhaps. One's about fish. There's like many subjects like that, and they just show. One is about garlic, and that was the most surprising one of all, and sort of left an impression on me that now I cannot buy garlic without checking where it's from. And it's interesting. I mean, it's a bit more about the stuff we just take for granted and we pick at the grocery store without asking questions. Okay, so about movies. Yeah, waiting until it's on DVD and getting it from the library, that's a good idea. It's expensive, wait for the DVD. Oh yeah, Mad Max, that was a movie that one had to see in the theaters. That was epic. Oh wow, 2 years ago. Val says she tends to fall asleep at the theater. Save the money and sleep at home. Yep. Oh, €3 a ticket. That's really good. Wow, here it's like a fortune. I mean, I think with 2 tickets you can sort of buy the DVD. So most of the time when a movie is good, we won't go see it and we will wait and just buy it and watch it from home. And from home you can hit pause whenever you want and wear your pajamas. I kind of wish more movies were available to, like, I would pay to watch it from home instead of going to the theaters, so I can't wait for that to be an option. %82% match for your interests? How can you tell it's 82%, Grace? Oh, rotten, you mean? I'm always curious about, like, the well, anything actually, but documentaries about food I really watched a lot because it's interesting. And even if I'm not exactly a vegan, but I have some dietary restrictions, so it's interesting to see how things are made, how it all works, and not necessarily in the mindset of saying this thing is bad and this thing is better, but just how does it work? I mean, what's all the work that goes into me going to the grocery store and being able to buy like asparagus in winter? Hello, Paulo. Would you guys prefer if I spoke about paints and watercolor instead of random whatever in the live streams? Val says she fell asleep during a Lord of the Rings fighting battle in the theater. Wow. Yep. Better stay home and watch movies on rent or Netflix, or borrow the DVD from someone and watch it. We usually do Lord of the Rings marathons, but we split it in like 10 sessions. So we watch a bit of it and then we pause it and we continue the next day, and then we pause it and continue the next day. I wouldn't be able to watch a real marathon one after the others, all the movies, but when you split it into many sessions, it's really enjoyable. What is the premise for Rotten? Out of my mind like that, I can't say the actual premise on Netflix, but like I said, it's a series of documentaries, episode perhaps 45 minutes, that will each address an aspect of the food industry or food related stuff from the industry. Like I said, one episode is about honey, like how it's made in the US and what the import of honey does to the American industry, and one was about food allergies and how it's changing the restaurants and all of that, and one was about fishing, and one was about garlic. Like the garlic one is really There might be a slight hiccup in the live. MJ says that they just bought their first watercolor sets and it made them realize that they need a proper watercolor paper. Yeah, I think it's the thing that's often not taken into consideration, because there are so many cheap options for paper that are technically sold as being as good as anything else, but like I heard recently in a video class, and I completely agree, it's really best, if you can, to practice on the best quality paper you can afford, because then you don't have to learn twice about how to paint. You learn once on the good paper, and when comes the time to switch to the good paper, well, you don't really have to switch. You're already using the good paper. If you start on cheap paper, on paper that's not so good, and you get used to working like that, but at some point you want to move up to something that is more archival, you're gonna have to learn to paint all over again. So yeah. Oh wow, Val is saying that she has the original 4+ feet posters from the first Star Wars movie that hung in the theater. She was a kid and her aunt grabbed them back in the 70s, 80s. Wow, that is so cool. It is strange. Malvina is saying that she's vegetarian but is buying a lot of meat for her animals. Blah. And it is quite a strange feeling, and I agree. I mean, we have to buy meat foods for the cats, because cats, they are a carnivorous, so they eat meat, period. They don't eat the vegan stuff, they eat meat. And I always get a weird feeling to consider that even if we as humans don't, me and Mystery, we don't eat that much meat, I think the cats are probably the ones that eat the most meat in this household. And there is no way around this. I mean, this is what a cat will do. This is how they function. Their whole digestive system and their whole bodies work because they eat meat. So yeah. I love how Val mentions her age. Age is so surreal, like I don't feel I am the age I am. And I always have to think before answering when someone tells me, hey, how old are you? And I'm like, hold on. How old am I supposed to be already? That much. A bit like Grace, I kind of have a face that looks younger than my age, so most of the time people they undershoot by at least a decade, but yeah. It's just weird. Oh. Grace just said their age and added the baby emoji. It's kind of weird because being young always sounds awesome when you're old, but then you gotta remember that at that age most of us had no clue whatsoever about anything. So there's kind of an advantage to being old and wrinkly, but yeah, it's kind of always so people always say that like it's so awesome to be young, and you're like, well, yeah, but we gotta remember that being older also has perks. Aww. So far, I gotta say, I really like the sets of primary triads by Daniel Smith. I think my favorite one is the secondary triad with the undersea green, is it quinacridone burnt orange and carbazole violet. I don't think it's good to do everything because you have to be able at some point to mix with other colors, but if you look for this painting, I mostly use these three colors and a tiny bit of the primary triad. The advantage of working with a limited palette is that you end up with a more cohesive painting regardless of what you do, because you cannot have more than these colors, and if these colors go well together, well, the whole painting will be fine together. There won't be any weird surprises or like one color that jumps out over the other because it's not fitting in the palette. Sorry, I think I need some water. I don't have grey hair yet, but being a redhead, it's probably never gonna go grey. It's just gonna go light orange and then white. I don't know. Yeah, Kathy knows. She says us redheads go white instead of grey. It would be pretty weird if redheads went suddenly grey, because there's like no indication of dark hair anywhere on the head of a redhead. But yeah, it goes from orange to less orange to white. I don't have any reference though, because nobody else in my family is a redhead, so. Bye, Anna. Thanks for being there with us. Have a great lunch or dinner. A question from MJ. Why some artists have a palette of 48 colors and others use just 12 and mix them to make a wide range of color? I think that's personal choice, convenience and habit, perhaps. For myself, I can say that's two things. When I usually paint like outside or plein air or something like that, I prefer to have a smaller palette to mix everything on the spot and paint what I see. When I work in more illustrative work where I really have something planned in my head, I often enjoy having a larger palette with so many more colors, because I can more easily create a different ambience and color palette by choosing which colors I use out of the lot. I don't think anyone uses all the colors at once of something like a 48 colors palette, but I think it just offers you more possibility depending on the kind of mood and setting you want to paint. Yeah, if you paint from life, if you paint from photos or reference, I think a smaller palette might be more practical, but if you paint from imagination and you want to create things that are not based on reality, then perhaps having a wider range of color available to you will give you more options. Oh, I'm really sorry about your mom too, Grace. It's never easy, those things. I'm noticing that with a dark hat like Twinkle's here, it's kind of difficult to have the features show up well. I would probably have to do some kind of inking on the face, at least to... Perhaps I could do it once it's dry with a pencil. Yeah, I think that's what I would do. But yeah, so a couple of tiny mistakes, like I should have perhaps planned better and have some strands of grass go over the tail. I could try to do it with white gouache. I'm pretty sure I have some around here somewhere. Yep. So this is titanium permanent white artist gouache by M. Graham. I think It's my favorite white gouache. Whenever you outline, it's like magic. Can't wait. Thanks, Grace. Thing with white and gouache is that you should always only try to put as little as you need, because it's always going to be more potent and opaque if it's fresh out of the tube than if you try to reactivate it with water. Also, it always goes on more opaque than when it dries, so it might look super great once it's freshly laid out, and then it dries and you're like, oh, I thought this was more opaque, and it's not. That's just gouache for you. Ian asks if it will lift. I don't like to lift paint. I don't know why. Like, there is no reasons. There is no problem with lifting. That's perfectly fine. But I don't know. I'm always afraid I will ruin the paper, I think. Blue highlights might help with twinkles. I could do some kind of rim lighting or backlighting, but since it's a scene that's outdoors, there is not that strong of a light source. It would have been easier, like, if it was at night and there was a candle nearby. That would have been a better source of strong lighting then. Twinkies, the food that lasts forever. Oh. I think all prepackaged cakes like that are always incredibly addictive to the taste and to the feeling of salt, sugar, and fat. But don't look at the ingredients, just don't. Or at the best before date. Don't do yourself that. Don't hurt yourself that way. I'm trying to think about how to ink this. If I'm gonna ink it, I'm gonna switch brush and use where is it? Ah, there it is. Size 1 Escoda Reserva. And I'm gonna try to mix a dark color with this. And if there is no best before date on a stack, run. That's absolutely true. Let's see if this will do anything at all. I'm just worried it's not gonna be dark enough to make a real difference. I have inks and I could perhaps use my iris for this, but they're not exactly close by, so just gonna see what I can do with the watercolors. Grace is saying that her cat was sleeping and jumped when their husband bit her. I think that's one of my favorite things, like when the cats are sleeping and you just suddenly put your face in them or something. And mine, they don't get startled as much as make noise. So they will go like, "Boo!" And it's really funny. And I mean, cats are jerks, so I don't feel bad for doing that. Jeez, but what is it with YouTube today? I am not sure this is doing a fine job of inking, but it's, I guess, a practice piece. So yeah, it's a good moment to figure this out so I can know exactly what to perhaps avoid doing when I repaint these, I guess, if I were to make them into a book. Perhaps I should try different pencils for outlining under. Like this was a very thin. And I know that polychromos are good, but I worried that they would smudge on the textured paper. Does anyone have experience of polychromos and textured paper? Do they smudge a lot? Oh, hello Lee, thank you. I'm sorry. I'm not sure if the bad internet connection is not because of my connection. If so, I'm really sorry. I really don't know what's causing it. That line was so at the wrong space. Oops. Oops, oops. The cat startup sound, yep. It always makes me laugh when I try to draw a line at a pre-established space and then I don't know why, but something goes awry in the the brain-hand coordination thing, and the line just goes south or not at all where I wanted, and I'm like, what happened? Why did you do that? You knew where you wanted to put that line, and nope. The hand just went ahead and decided, nope, I really like this couple of miles north of where you wanted it. So yeah, deal with it. Oh wow, Val, that's a lot of wind. Yeah, digital art is really nice for correcting stupid mistakes, like lines not belonging where they should, and editing colors when something is not working out as planned. I mean, the undo feature is kind of a great thing. But that's kind of what I like about traditional art as well, is that you don't have that backup plan, so either you learn or you start over, or you just gotta manage with the thing that didn't work as planned. That's a different exercise. But I really like digital to sketch things out to be painted, because you can so easily like move things around. Sometimes something is drawn like you wanted it, but not at the proper place. And with digital art, you can just like select it and move it, and then when it's all good, you can print and transfer, and it's basically just like sketching it on paper, but you save a lot of time and hassle. So I hope I can try one day to use like an iPad for that purpose, but I don't have a tablet at the moment. It's a long-term goal, a really long-term one. It's okay. Well, I think that's mostly done. There are a couple of things that I'm not super 100% happy with, but that's okay. I'm trying to do this in a round shape, brain. Come on. Do your job. Right. Bye, Kathy. Have a great day. I'm mostly done here anyway, so I think this is it for this one. The second installment of their silly adventures. I don't know where the books are. Oh, I think I might have already stored the other drawings because I was doing a bit of cleanup last week. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this part ended up looking. I think this part is kind of fun, but there is something not up to the point in here. Perhaps I need to review and make Twinkle's a grey cat instead of a black one. Just for the sake of everything being more readable when I paint it. So yeah, if there is no more questions, I think that's gonna be it for today. And next week is gonna be about the next sketch we did. I think it's the one where Rogers tries to get stuff from the shelves of the library and he makes a mess. So yep. So next week, different sketch, different paper, different paint. Probably the same brushes though, because I really like them. But yeah. So thanks everyone for being there. That was really awesome of you to show up and chat along and hear me rambling about random stuff. And I hope you have a great weekend. Those with weird weather, stay safe. And oh, I could make a torty, but they are so hard to paint. Okay, I'm gonna think about it. That's a good idea. Yeah, so yep. Have a great weekend. Take care. Have fun painting if you decide to paint this weekend. And yeah, make sure to go pet your pets. That's key. And if you don't have one, steal one. Alright, have a great weekend everyone. Bye bye.